Rich, hey, thank you for sitting down with me today. I'd love to dive into a little bit about how you started on your whole self development journey that led you where you are today. So, talk to us about that.
No, firstly, also thank you for inviting me on to this show. I think it's great what you do. And in terms of self development, I think it's a case of life is about growth and about progression. I mean, we've obviously met at an event that we went to together, but I think what's really important is that life always has ups and downs, and the things that I've learned from it is just give to as many people as you can with the time you've got, and everything else will be great.
Talk to us about how you got into piano. Like, what made you want to become a concert pianist?
So I remember really, really clearly about 3 or 4 years old, tiny, laying under a piano like this one. My dad used to play, and he was always like playing these really cool chords. And I was like, "Oh, that sounds so great." And I could see his feet moving on the pedals. And I just remember sitting there going, I want to do that. I really, really want to play that. And then, of course, dad got me into lessons and things with a sort of local piano teacher. And then sort of as time sort of went on, it was part of the routine. It was part of who I am. Uh, and then sort of funny story, when I got to sort of 14, 15, my sort of attitude called teenager boy sort of kicks in. I remember saying, to my dad, I quit. I'm out. And he said, no, you're not. And I said, you can't force me. And he said, no, I can't force you, but do you think you know what's right for you? And of course I was like, yeah, of course I do. He said, I know many men in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that still think they know what's right for them, but in fact they don't. And it was that one moment that I was just like, yeah, okay, I'll carry on. And I carried on for another month. And after that, I fell in love with it. And I was like, this is my life. Like, I'm going to spend my life helping people. And piano was just one vehicle for it.
So, was your father a professional musician, or was he just playing the piano for fun?
So he played piano for fun. He got up to sort of grade 7 level, which is pretty good, pretty good. And no, but he wasn't a professional musician. But he was really good with work ethic. Big takeaway for all of the students that I coach, in both businesses that I run. I think you have to have work ethic. You have to sit there and understand what hard graft is. Because a lot of people just, go, oh yeah, I want to play piano. I'm like, yeah, but it's not just play it. You become a musician. I became a musician. I became a business owner through that installation of like, you think you know what's right for you. No, you don't. No kids at that age really know what's right for them. That's what I think anyway.
So what made you buy into your dad's point that there's, 20-year-olds that don't know what they want and what they're talking about? Like, why wouldn't you just say like, well, they may not know, but I know. Like, what did you see like real life examples of people in their 20s that didn't
No, it's a,
trust
it's
you?
it's a great question. No, I didn't. I think looking back on reflection, I think, dads within the family, is with authority, fathers talking to their kids, and there's a nice way to do it. And he was strict. And I think a little bit of society's lost that. I really do. And I think that sort of strictness is needed. And I think when he said, you're going to continue like that, I remember sitting there going, okay. I'm happy. I'm happy to push against the wall. I'm happy to sort of flex a little bit. But when it comes straight back and it's a hard stop, at that point with my father, I'm like, you got it. And then, the usual sort of consequence of push and pull of consequence of, you won't be going to tennis. You won't be getting the new watch that you want to buy. And love this amazing new watch that I wanted to buy. He said, you won't be getting that. And I was like, I really want the watch. I really want to play tennis. So back then it was a case of, okay, let's just do it. And then it was literally was like a month after, I was like, okay, this is the path for me. And then I just fell in love with it. Just fell in love with
And did you know at that young age you wanted to be a concert pianist, or did you did?
it. Yeah. Yeah. I knew at that point that my life was going to be, you either do it or don't. You either commit to it fully and go all in and give it your heart, your passion, all your time, all your focus, or you don't. And it was something that sort of clicked in me at that stage. And I think I was, just playing something on the piano. And I just remember sitting there going, God, I really love this. This is great. It sounds great. And I was pretty good at it. For the age that I was, I'd got quite a good level. And then I was like, right, let's do it. Let's become a concert pianist. Let's do a music degree, do a postgrad, learn with the sort of best musicians that I could find at the time. And here I am. So 25 years later, I've got 73 students that I'm coaching. I've got 3 piano teachers that work for me at the moment. Got people all over the world. It's great.
So to become a concert pianist, is it after your postgrad that you can then kind of apply? Like, how does actually someone become accepted as a concert pianist? Like, how does this
So
all work?
that's a good question. So there's certain repertoire, certain music that a lot of people shy away from. There's a lot of music that a lot of people would sit there and go, what is the point? That is a different level of hard. And I love that friction. I love that, that sort of thing of like diamonds are always created through pressure, extreme pressure. And I remember I got the music just off of shot actually, you know, some of the world's hardest piano music and sitting there at uni going, I got this. I know it can't be impossible. That's my bit. It can't be impossible to do it. And then, you get to the level where you just have this confidence where you can just, host a concert. And I remember sort of in my 20s, putting an advert in the local paper, doing a 45-minute concert, selling tickets, and it was pretty much sold out. There's no more space in the hall. And I got some claps. Game on.
Okay, so it's kind of like you just rented a hall, sold your own tickets, and that's kind of how you got started.
Yeah, I got confidence. I've got the confidence and I got the competence. I got the skill set. I knew that I could play these songs, these pieces in particular quite well. And then just that ability to then go, okay, you're either going to do a show and show people what you can do or you don't. And I think it's the same for business. I mean, you know this with the stuff that you've done. It's very, very easy to live in your comfort zone and to go, oh, I don't need to do that. You kind of do. What you're avoiding is really what you need to do. And for anyone watching, that would be my number one advice to anyone watching this is, what are you avoiding? What are you not willing to do? And do it anyway. Test it out because you don't know till you've been there. That first concert that I did, where I was standing behind the sort of double wooden doors, hands were like literally cold and sweaty, right? Anyway, audience calmed down. There's this sort of eerie noise of like the rustling of the papers just stopped. And then I was like, it's showtime. It's showtime. I opened the door, walked in, did the concert. It was great. But the fear in me at the beginning for that first concert, I'll never forget that.
And how many years did you do that for, where you were just
Oh, wow.
playing venues like this?
I've done it for 25 years, 20 years, 20 years.
Okay, okay. And what were some of the highlights of those 25 years of just doing those concerts?
Okay. In terms of highlights, things that sort of stand quite clear for me are not just the compliments. I had a woman once came up to me and she said to me, she went, you've got an issue with your sort of left hand thumb, haven't you, when you play those sequences? And just put this in context, there's about 500 people in this sort of auditorium, maybe about 25 people lined up because I was at the door. I want to greet everyone and say, thank you for coming. And she queued up and her first opening line to me was, you got a problem with your left hand thumb, haven't you? Sort of on. And I went, have I? Didn't think I did, but thank you very much for the feedback. I'm glad you enjoyed it. The people either side started smiling. The reason I highlight that is because you're never going to please everyone. And that is a highlight for me. It was a time for me to sit there and go, I gave my all in that concert, everything, heart, passion. I was crying. Audience was crying. My mum was front row. She was crying. And then this woman come up to me and decided to tell me what was wrong with it. I sort of love that moment because Everyone else, was like, "Oh, it's the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard, Richard. Thank you so much. Do you teach piano as well?" I said, "Yes, of course I do." But that's a highlight for me. You can't please everyone.
So it sounded like she did it out of a just kind of she's the type of person to find things wrong, not necessarily that she had some sort of expertise that
Yes.
she was able to detect. That's what
Yeah.
it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think she was a pianist. I think if she was a professional concert pianist as well, I think she probably would have approached me a little bit different, and she probably would have understood what it's like of the endorphins, the adrenaline that you have when you finish a concert like that and people are clapping. You've put weeks and weeks of work into that performance. Think she would have known and clocked it, that it's important to start with love, start with positivity. Not that she's got this idea in her head that my left hand thumb's weak. For the record, it's not. Okay.
So when did you say, "Okay, that's enough playing concert piano for me"?
Mm.
Did you start teaching before that? Like, when did you start teaching?
Great question. So I was teaching from the age of 17, sort of friends and friends of friends that wanted to learn. And then it's a great question. When I got to about 24, 25, I loved the performing and it was great. But I realized that, you know, in its own right, you can't really make a good living out of being a concert pianist unless you are one of the lucky ones, right time, right place, soloist, Lang Lang, Yuja Wang, sort of global stars. Earning a living out of that, very, very hard. Lots of sort of traveling involved as well. And then I realized that actually my purpose of life, of being here, isn't just to perform, it's also to connect. You know this from when we first met. I love connection. I love people. And the teaching and the coaching was a vehicle to communicate to people, to help people as well.
So what made you eventually decide to stop altogether? The
With the performing,
with the performing, yes.
just falling in love with the people, falling in love with the people, a more sustainable lifestyle. I didn't need to prove anything anymore. There is this thing that, when you go to conservatoires and you have some really sort of top professors teaching you, there is the thing of like, okay, now let's go to the next hardest one. Let's go to the next one, go to the next one. And ego sort of comes into the game a little bit. It's a little bit like, I can play this concerto, I can play this. And then I sort of sat back and I thought, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. Like, I know I'm good in my lane for who I am and what I do. I know I'm brilliant. I know that because I put the time in. It's 2 hours a day for the last 30 years, of doing this. And then it was a case of going, I don't need to sort of prove any points to anyone anymore. Now it's just me being me. I still have the skill set. I can still perform. I want to do some more concerts this year. But as you know, I love coaching. I love coaching piano. That's the joy and passion for me.
So when you say that, are you want to do some concerts this year, meaning like this year, 2026, you're gonna
2026.
put on
2026.
some concerts? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Alright.
Don't worry. You're going to be invited.
Okay, that sounds like fun. So, with your piano students, what's your process of and your philosophy behind teaching piano to your students? Do you see any sort of common patterns or anything that are common in the students that you teach?
Yeah, I do. I mean, in terms of pattern identification, identifying patterns in people and in students, once you've taught, say, 500 students, beginners, you can't help but notice patterns of behavior and patterns of how they approach the music, how they approach the piano, approach the keys. And then what happened is I was then in a position to sit there and go, and I do this every day. I sit there, I close my eyes and I'm like, I can see what they see. Of course, my expertise, I know exactly how to solve it like that. It's not about me. It's about how can I communicate really, really clearly so that they can see what I see. And I think that's where my dopamine gets released. Sitting there helping students going, you're a beginner. You're sitting there at these 88 notes. It's quite overwhelming looking at the code on the paper as well. Just break it up. Small bite-sized chunks. Repeat, repeat, repeat. I think you should learn, Alex. I think you should learn.
No, I have no musical talent, and we talked about this before too. I tried an instrument before in my elementary primary school for UK days, and we got assigned a piece of homework with the instrument, and it it just felt kinda boring to me. Like, I didn't feel connected to the music or that we got assigned or the instrument. There was just I couldn't connect to it. That's why I stopped playing.
And that's what I love as well, that being a musician is not for everyone. And that's a really important point because, you know, with the business and where it is now with the coaching and the team that I've built and handcrafted, you know, I get sort of 7 to 8 inquiries every day for people that want to learn with me. And I will jump on a call like this and I will connect with them and find out exactly sort of how they see the world and where they're at. I will then get them to send me a little video of their playing and I will know. I will know straight away whether number one, you know, it's like a fad, like just give it a little go, or whether they're generally in a position to actually go the distance. I'm happy to give everyone a sort of shot, but what I have to be really careful of, and you'll know this in your business, is time. Time is really precious, and so is focus. And if I'm spending my time with someone who possibly is not going to be a good fit, I will just pass them on to someone else. With total gratitude for reaching out to me, I usually give them a little gift anyway to say thank you. But I have to be selective with the people now, really.
Yeah, I think if I had met a music teacher like you when I was younger, that might have been different. Talk to us about how you approach teaching piano and versus, like, the
Yeah.
classical or the standard way where that I got when as a student, I was just handed this very dry piece to practice, and there was no connection to that music, and then I dropped out.
Great question. So again, just for the record, you know, and for the sake of anyone watching here, if you are a piano teacher or a music teacher, there's nothing wrong with teaching in this traditional way. It's worked for hundreds of years. Hundreds and hundreds of years there's been a format, a structure to teach piano, to teach music. I just think that my niche, the reason why, you know, I am so successful at what I do is because I don't conform to that structure. I'm flexible. If someone comes along who likes that traditional way of me sitting there pointing on the score, this is E, G, B, D, F, F, A, C, E, face in the space, or whatever it is, I think there's a time and a place for that. But realistically, you want to come for piano lessons and you want to learn piano, you want to sound good. You want to sound good really quickly. And the way to do that is to trigger a different part of the brain, which releases the dopamine, endorphins, you know, all that sort of, you know, neurochemicals. And actually, you know, watching and feeling how I play a little section. For example, if you came for lessons and I said to you, you know, what is your favorite song? You would go, actually, what is your favorite song, Alex? Just for the call.
I don't have a favorite well, actually, one of my favorite songs is from the movie Willy Wonka, when Gene Wilder, um
Yeah,
I
great.
don't know the name of that song.
Yeah, but either way, I'm going to teach it to you. So what I do is that I would take that and over the years of doing this, I would listen to it and then give it 30 seconds to a minute. I'll be playing it. I can then sit there and identify the patterns within that music. And I would go, okay, I can make this sound really big and really great here. I can also scale it down and just do it literally little finger movements in a set position. Both work. And I would then give to you as a beginner level one. But you are already locked onto it because I'm choosing a piece you like. And then I would, step one, do the basics, teach you where to put your hands. Step two, I then play level two version of it. And then you sit there and you go, that's great. I want to play it like that. And I go, okay, let me show you how. Repeat, repeat, repeat. 4 weeks later, you're playing your favorite song on the piano. That's the difference. The difference is that I lead by giving you what you want, playing, getting that sound sounding pretty good pretty quickly, rather than 3 years of reading dots on a piece of paper. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. There's some other things that you do too, so you do personal coaching and then you also do police work.
Yes, yes,
Why do
absolutely.
those other things also?
Yeah, thank you for raising that. I was sort of sitting there thinking, Alex, when are you going to mention my other jobs and careers that I do? But thank
Yeah.
you. That's great. Yeah, so I've been in the police force for about, what is it, 10 years now, actually, 10 years. And I started at the same time a life coaching business as well, sort of personal coaching, including business coaching as well. So, yeah, I have many sectors to my life and my focus. And a lot of people at this point would go, so hang on a minute. This guy he's a concert pianist and he's a police officer. No way. I don't believe it. And I love that. I love it that that's the reaction because my passion, and I've done this for like I said, 20 years, 25 years, is piano. Connection, giving to people beautiful moments. The police officer avenue that I went down was again to serve the people. It was to sit there and go, I'm earning quite good money doing my piano teaching and piano coaching stuff. I reckon I could also do police work as well. Did the 1.5 year training, went through all of that stuff, and then was an officer. Yeah, for 10 years, I got promoted to sergeant, team of officers. Yeah, best decision for sure.
When clients come to you for life coaching,
Yes.
what sort of improvements are they looking to make in their lives?
Great question. So they usually come to me going, there's more to life. I'm missing something. And usually the word that comes up is fulfillment. It's about being fulfilled. And I think where I come in, I'm like a conduit. I'm like the person, the connector between what the purpose is and where they are at the moment, sort of point A to point B. And I come in and I open the door of like, you want to be a police officer? Go do it. You want to do a podcast? Do it. Do you remember the first thing that I'm going to say now? Do you remember one of the first things that I said to you? And you knew I was going to say it on this call.
Yeah, do it now.
Do it now.
Yes.
Like, I remember sitting next to you going, let me just give you one bit of advice. Do it now. Do it now. Don't wait. Ever you want to do it now. Because life is so precious. It's so precious.
So how do you help connect the person from point A to point B? Like the first day the client sits down with you, how do you approach that situation?
I mean, that is my secret sauce, Alex. I mean, that is me basically giving the watchers and the listeners my secret code. I'm happy to share everything with you, my friend. You know that. I usually look for body language. I look for the language that they're using as well. And I look for, I feel it. We talk about it. We talk about who are you? What do you want? Why do you want it? Those three. And I watch and I listen and I feel. Everyone has what we call an energetic resonance. There is a resonance to me. I present on camera differently to you do, differently to your other guests. And that makes me unique. But I have an energetic resonance so that when you watch me and you're hearing my voice, you will feel something. When a client's in front of me or you and me are connecting, I feel you. It's a sensation. And I will then be talking about certain topics about what you want. And I'll be like testing the waters. I'll go to something like just teasing and I go, is that really true? Is that true? And then my clients normally have these limiting beliefs, these blocks. And they go, yes, of course. I could never be a police officer or I could never perform on stage in front of an audience. And I go, okay, is that true? Is it true? Is it possible? And then what happens is they get a target. We sit there together and we carve a path on how to get that. And then based upon what package they have is how much of me they have in their back pocket. So they could pick up the phone and go, hi, Rich, concerts next week. I'm really nervous. I then jump in, coach them, get them to breathe, imagine it, go through some questions that I ask them, and then they get the result. And then we just repeat.
Well, you make it sound so easy.
Do you know what? It's simple.
Yes.
It's really simple, but it's not easy. It's simple because the formula for success is really clear. It's really clear. For example, anyone watching this now, if you look in the mirror, and I'm hoping everyone's really happy with sort of how they look, and but a lot of people want to lose weight. Okay, a lot of people are sitting there going, I could be in better condition. I could just lose this bit of fat on on my stomach. Um, if you're really honest, you already know. You already know how to lose the weight. It's not hard to lose weight. It's not hard to get fit. It really isn't. Eat less, move more. That's it. It's simple. The hard bit comes of activating that formula. And that's where I come in. I come in to activate that, to rev people up, to go, you know what? You want to do a podcast? Great. You want to do a new business? Great. What are you waiting for? That evokes that feeling, that energy onto the client. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. It sounds like it's a bit about examining their language patterns and examining their limiting beliefs, showing them that, you know, is that really true? Taking the legs out of that
Yeah.
limiting belief, right? And then also changing their physiology so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they creating a new pattern for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. New patterns. And I think if I think there's loads of ways to approach this topic. Okay, it's a very, very big topic, and I could certainly talk for the next 12 hours on this if you want. It depends how long your podcast is. But I think what's really important is that there has to be a consequence. If you want to change an action and a behavior, and you want it intrinsically, then you have to put a consequence in place. You have to amplify the pleasure that if you do that behavior, that action, that in your mind you're thinking, yes, I am going to lose weight. If I do this and this and this, my coach has told me that that will get me that result. You magnify that and you go, got it. And you measure the waistline. That's why you've got all these apps that, sort of track calories and all that sort of stuff. You also, at the same time, want to put a negative consequence in place if you don't do those actions. It's a push and a pull. The negative consequence is something like you remove a reward system that you would already have. So maybe you don't go to the cinema. Maybe you don't go and meet up with a friend, and you write it down, pen to paper. Write that stuff down. These actions, if I do it, I get this. If I don't do it, this is what happens. Then get a coach like me to come in and hold you there, and then you're on your own. Then you've got it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I wanted to touch upon is you were not always where you are now.
Mm,
So talk to us about the most challenging part of your life and how that led to kind of like your growth and like where you are now, because
great.
it's a big part of you.
No, it's a big part. It's a great part. And talking about this subject, it's a very, very closed loop for me. When I talk about it and I share information with you, which obviously, we've spoken about this before, and I won't go into too much detail, but everyone's got a story. And I think it is vital that we all just literally take a step back and appreciate that sentence. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a past. Everyone is here watching me now and watching you, and everyone has an anticipation for the future. All three are correct. What is really important is that everyone in their own right, sadly, has had trauma and has had problems, difficulties. I mean, you have, I have, everyone has. That's just life. That's how it works. And as cliche as it is, it's just reality. But what's really sad is that not everyone realizes that that story, that past makes you who you are today. And you can view that event, that node in time, if you like, as positive or negative. I can shape that. I can reframe that event. The reason I'm sharing this with you now, because I will go into detail as to what happened to me, but it's vital that you take that story and you put a positive frame on it. It's so important, because if you don't, you're carrying that around with you every single day. I'm a victim. This happened to me. That's not fair. Classic words that come up all the time with my clients. I don't deserve that. Deserving, expectations aren't met. I mean, that alone, I could talk for hours on that. So yeah, I mean, a little bit about me. So I was in a relationship with an ex that I love dearly. Apps just, I really loved her. And unfortunately, she betrayed me, and it cost me quite a lot. I lost my house. I lost a little boy as well. And I was homeless. Now, I lost my career as well. There's a whole massive situation that arose. And, I'm not exaggerating any of this stuff for this podcast. This is exactly as it was. I was homeless. I was literally sleeping in my car. I didn't have a place to live at all. I remember going to the council because I had no money. I had nothing. Fortunately, my ex, for whatever reason that it is, and I'm not going to go into it now, had her own reasons. She has her story. She felt the desire to put me through this ordeal, and I lost everything. I mean, everything. And then I went to the council. So great. Keep light of it, Alex, just for the sake of what this is. Yeah. I remember going to the council and saying, look, hello, my name's Richard. I've had a pretty rough time. I don't have any money. I don't even have £20 to eat. I've heard of this thing called like universal credit and support and things like that. And they went, okay, let's fill out this form. And I spoke to this little old lady. She was very, very, just very humble, just chatted to me. And she said, where are you living at the moment? What's your address? And I said, well, I don't really have an address. And she said, well, you must be living somewhere. How do we give you the money? I said, well, why don't you just put down sort of, Vauxhall Corsa, any road, just to keep it light. And she sort of looked up from her glasses and went, come with me. So we walked into this side room, and I think the manager came out. And God, I remember it so clearly, Alex, sharing it now. I remember this guy coming in, going, we're gonna put you in a hostel. We're gonna get a roof over your head. We can't have you sleeping in your car. Slept in this hostel for about 3 months. And then, got to a point before then. I sort of skipped quite a lot of stuff, but, I was very suicidal. And I touch on this subject, not because I want sympathy, not because I want people to go, God, I'm so sorry, because it's reality of life. Some people have just the most horrific experience, and they do jump. They do jump off the cliff. They do. I remember clearly going to the cliff, looking over the edge, going, I'm out. I'm out. My values of life that I had, you've started me now, Alex. I'm going to carry on forever. You've opened the can of worms now, mate, haven't you? So I remember, standing there, literally looking over the edge, going, it's one of two options. Option one, I jump and I'm out, because there's no way anyone would survive that. Option two, I don't jump and I really grab life hard and properly live life to the max and fight for what's right. It was a legal battle. It did go to court. It got quite intense. Let's put it that way, quite intense. And yeah, obviously I'm here now. So number one, I didn't jump. Hooray, hurrah. Number two, I learned what the opposite of this is. I know what it's like to be homeless on the street. I know what it's like to have no money. It's called the contrast principle. I have that. I can close my eyes and remember what it's like, but I use it as a positive. I don't sit here on the podcast with you and go, yeah, it was really unfair. And not once will you hear me say that. Not once. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a purpose. It just so happened that my ex at the time was going down a path in her mind that that's what she wanted. The result of that, the consequence is that I lost everything and I was homeless. And it was 2 years. 2 years I was on the street with this hostel. And then, God, honestly, Alex, I met the most beautiful people. Do you know that? The most beautiful, beautiful people in that hostel. And I will share this for the listeners if you want me to keep going. Do you want me to keep going?
Keep going,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, great, great. God, I met the most beautiful people in that hostel. Sort of, I don't know, what 1 month into living in this accommodation that had doors smashed in, there were drug abusers, there were people in there who just were from a different walk of life from me. Okay. And I remember going into the lounge area, which had sofas that must have been, I don't know, 40 years old, lampshade hanging off, really outdated kitchen. And there was this woman in there. And she went, try and get the energy right. She went, how are you? And I said, not, not good, not good. You? You know, and she went, isn't this place beautiful? Isn't this place amazing? And I sort of remember leaning against the wall like this, just listening to this woman talk in this hostel. And she went, isn't this place beautiful? Isn't it amazing? I said, what do you mean? She said, she went, oh, I was on the street outside this coffee shop for a year in a sleeping bag, cardboard boxes, under the shelter of the canopy of this coffee shop. And she said, I see. And I suddenly sat there and thought, don't judge. Don't judge. One single situation that you're looking at from this perspective, there is an opposite to that. Honestly, Alex, I swear to God, I was in this place and I was looking at it like, God, this place is horrific. You know, just not. Wasn't fair. I don't deserve this. I had a beautiful house and a beautiful life with my partner, my little boy. And she looked at it as if it was a palace. And that was one of the most beautiful moments of my life when I walked into a situation and I had judged it. And I had judged it from my life experience where she was looking at it from the bottom up. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I just went to my room after that. I cried for a bit and eventually fell asleep because I wasn't sleeping and all this sort of stuff. That was the first person. And I look at these people as if they're angels, Alex. I look at them as if they're people that have touched my soul. They're people that came across my path. And if I hadn't have had that horrific ordeal, I would never have had that moment. I would never have had the moment to look over the cliff and go, live or die. I would never have had that moment in that hostel with that angel to give me that lesson that I needed. I needed the lesson of don't judge anything. Because a £20 note to me now with my businesses and what I do is a different percentage of what I own compared to back then. So I remember holding a £20 note thinking, I'm a rich man. I can eat. So yeah, that's angel number one.
Well, it sounds like there's more angels. When you meet someone like that and they through their actions or through their words, they get you to see your life through a different perspective. It's definitely life-changing and something that you remember
Absolutely.
for all time, yeah.
And again, it's, I look back then and I don't look back with any hate, any resentment for my ex and the whole situation that she went through to, deliver the results that she did. I don't look back with any hate. There is complete forgiveness, complete. And there is actually, and this is going to be very, very hard for listeners out there and for me to share with you, Alex, for people to really understand this. I'm very grateful to her, really grateful, because the amount of life perspective that I got from being on the street, having no money, losing everything that I had and I loved, I would never have met those people. I would never be here now. Not in a million years. No way. It's fascinating. I look back with gratitude. I look back with positivity. I put an energetic resonance on that going, at the time, it really didn't feel too good. But now I'm like, thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, it's so, amazing to see your life now, how it's full and about growth and about contribution, to believe that you came from a situation like that.
Thank you.
It's a journey, kind of like going from crawling to, like, standing to
Yeah.
walking and then finally kinda jogging and running, right?
Yes. Yes.
Like, it's a gradual process. It's not like this happened to you yesterday and
Yeah.
then you just suddenly find who you are today.
Yeah, that's a great point, and obviously for the sake of the podcast and time wise, obviously, there's loads more to that story, and I'm very very confident to chat to anyone about it. If anyone wants any help or any guidance, look me up, have a conversation with me. I'm very happy to guide anyone through this sort of stuff. And by no means am I saying that my trauma or my story is by any means the worst ever out there, because there are millions of people out there that experience stuff way way worse. But what I will share is that what is inevitable is growth. That is inevitable. And you have to decide. I got very, very good at deciding. Make a decision. Do it now. The first things that when I first met you, that when I say those words to you, do it now, that has come from experience. That has come from a place of knowing what it's like when you can't do it now, when you don't have an ability, where you're cornered in a wall. You're cornered. You can't move. And I was there for 2 years, and, I learned stuff. I learned from it. I've grown. I've sat there, and I know why I'm here. I'm here to connect with people. I'm here to help people. I'm here to serve the people. I have more than enough. I'm sitting here, in a penthouse apartment in England. I have a new microphone that I bought for this podcast for you. I have a beautiful grand piano behind me. I have beautiful friends like yourself and, a beautiful partner. And the reason I say that, because I know what the opposite is. I felt that. Some people ask me, Richard, do you think it is possible to have that enlightened, conscious mindset, way of viewing the world without the trauma? I think no. I think no. I think everyone needs to get hurt. I think everyone needs a trauma. I think if you haven't had a trauma and you're watching this, please contact me. You are a unicorn. You are one in a million. I want to study you and dissect you and find out exactly what's been going on. Everyone has a trauma. And I think you need to get to a form of crossroads, because what I do not tolerate, where I am strict with all my clients and all my friends, is I do not tolerate complaining at all. I have no time for that. Anyone that sits there and complains. I had a woman in a coffee shop, right, just down the road, and I heard her chatting to a friend, and she went, "Did you see the way that she looked at me, Margaret?" And I was sitting there going, "Please don't tell me you're complaining about the way someone looked at you." And she was going on, and she was all stressed. And I'm thinking, you have no idea what life is about. You're placing your focus on the way that someone looked at you. And you're talking and holding your energy that penetrated you, that stabbed you in the heart, that Margaret or whoever looked at her wrong. I'm like, you got no idea. You have no idea. Let that go. Focus on who you want to be. Go get it. Just do it now.
Yes. Talk to us about your future vision for the piano coaching, the personal coaching, where you're taking it. Where's
So, yeah, that's a good shift. Great question. In terms of the businesses and where we're going, where I'm going with this, I have been in the fortunate position where my time coaching on a one-to-one basis has maxed out. I have very, very little time available now. I'm fully booked. What that means is that in terms from business perspective, that I can only give so much. If it's me and it's my heart and my passion working with students, working with life coaching clients, that it needs to change. The business model needs to change. So hence I've got piano coaches that work with me now, relatively new thing. And the business has changed direction because now I'm coaching them on how to serve. So it's like a pyramid. And the idea is to get a self-propelling machine within both businesses where people still feel me, my love, my gratitude, my contribution through them. Then I work less. And then I've told you this before, I want to be living under a palm tree on a beach. I can see it now. I can see the apartment that, me and my partner are going to buy. I can see the little cove, the beach. I can hear the water coming in and I can see the palm tree. And there's a little table, little chair. And I'm there on my laptop and I'm connecting with you and I'm connecting with people around the world under a palm tree. That's it. That's all I want.
Well, that's fantastic. Exciting to see, going to be exciting, and it is exciting to see where you're gonna take all this. How can people get in touch with you if they wanna learn more about the piano coaching or
That's great. So richardjameslifecoaching.com. That is for the life coaching and connecting with me for business or sort of life coaching support, things like that. In terms of the piano coaching, you can email me, richard@pianocoursepro.com. And also there's a local website, the Brighton Piano Teacher. Obviously, I can give you the links to these as well. But yeah, I'm very, very open to chat to you or any of your watchers and admirers anytime. My door's always open. But from my perspective, Alex, thank you very much for having me on. I think what you do is a great job. And it's nice to see that you have a nice different array of different people, on the call. I think that's really great.
well, thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah. See you soon. Thanks, Alex. Bye bye.